Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Today, I'm going to be talking about another video that I saw on YouTube that I thought was so interesting. And I know this YouTuber got some of the footage from either other YouTubers, TikTokers, and things like that. But I highly recommend to watch this video. But it's like while I was listening to it, it just brought back so many memories of why I've never been married. And I know throughout my life, people are going to blame me. People do blame me for never being married, or they say something is wrong with me. And I, I'm just like, okay, take your pick. I'm not perfect. Take your pick. But with this video, there was a gentleman, or the theme is around this one gentleman who said that women should stop getting an education. And he was talking about how they don't know how to take care of house, they don't know how to be a proper mother or a proper wife and take care of the man. And well, that's not how I'm not, he meant this for majority of the Muslim community, but it hit home because this is for almost every demographic. It's like black men, oh my gosh, white men, yes. It's like this is not only Muslim. And so, like the way he was talking about it, I get it because he is Muslim. He's talking about it from his perspective, but he does not realize how many men agree with him that do not practice his religion, and how many men that I have had to block from my phone, ignore, break up with, and just tell them I want nothing to do with them because they either told me and hello. It's like if you're new, like, comment, and subscribe. I spill tea, talk politics. So I probably won't get any sponsorships because I don't care. I will talk politics. I will tell all of my views, my opinions, and my stance on any subject. But anywho, back to the subject. It's just the way that these men of any demographic, any race, creed, religion, a lot of them agree with this guy. And the way that he talks about having a proper woman, which, oh my gosh, I just posted a video about a guy from Facebook dating. In his profile, he stated that he wanted a well behaved woman who, so that proves my point right there already. But yeah, I get so many videos like that, especially with the Scout and Meet Me app. I have a list of standards that I post on there, and I posted on there because of the men that I kept running into on that app. And a lot of the men on there, oh my gosh, it's like before I put the standards up there, it's like I would talk to the guys, and in my profile, I would have that I have a master's. And they don't know I have two, but that's not an option on the thing. But yeah, I have 3 degrees or whatever. While I'm talking to a gentleman and we're getting to know each other, and we get to either career goals, education, things like that. If I mention that I have 3 degrees, you're a woman. Why are you wasting your money on that? What do you think you have to do? Oh, they don't have a class on changing diapers. It's like, oh, did you study the culinary so you know you can know how to make sure you make my steak medium rare, and just some of the most sexist comments. And I'm like, no, I didn't study culinary arts. Well, they don't teach classes on cleaning. One guy actually told me this. And I'm like, no, 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 not cleaning. there are men who demand me to tell them what my degrees are, and then they tell me to explain to them specifically what each degree means and also how I plan on using each degree in my life. And if I haven't used the degree, which I've used all of my degrees and certifications, and then they get so mad when I show that I have used each and every one. And so I've I just recorded a video talking about how it's not education wise, but I worked one job to further my education. When I was a promotional model, I broke up with Scott because, yeah, he told me either to be a promotional model or and not be with him, or quit and be with him. And he was supposedly going to propose to me, but instead he bagged my stuff, put it in a birthday bag, and gave it to me. And I'm like, with after everything I've gone through and accomplished and finished, and now that I'm writing my novels and with YouTube, with podcasts and all of the other projects I'm working on, if it wasn't for all of the obstacles and all of the things I have challenged myself with, including promotional modeling, I don't think I would be as, like, I would still be creative, but I wouldn't be as daring. And the way he was trying to limit me. And then also when I first graduated my with my bachelor's and I applied for my master's and I was so excited. Yeah, there was a Scott's white, by the way. So yeah, that's a white example, now a black example. I just got accepted to start my master's, and yeah, that I was on a date with the guy and I told him I was so excited because I wasn't getting a good reaction from family. So I thought if I tell him at least, I guess I wanted approval. No, I'm sure I wanted approval from somewhere, wanted positivity from somewhere, which is why like love bombing was my weakness. But anyway, he told me either be with him and drop out of grad school, or yeah, go to grad school, but he wants nothing to do with me. And I kept running into black men who wanted nothing to do with me because of my education. And but then on the other spectrum, there were some men who wanted to deal with me, but they wanted me only as a side piece. Twice I found out that they were dating someone else, but they were thinking that if they pretended if they were going to be with me, that they would be able to get money from me. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. It's just, and then even with Mr. No Heart and Mr. Lock and Key, Mr. No Heart could not stand my education. And sometimes, like, even when I think about his mom and the first time I met her, she had the nerve to just say the only reason you got into college is because you're black. But now I'm thinking about it and I'm wondering, what kind of talk did she have with my ex for her to come up to with that conclusion? Because that night I was just like, yeah, it's like I went to college. Yeah, I have 3 degrees. But did she was is she so bigoted and racist that that just slips off on the tongue that easily? Or because my ex, he knew and he couldn't stand it. I remember trying to show him I have my bachelor's, my major was in English, so I showed him one of my pieces for my poetry class, and I told him he could read it. And a few days later, I was cooking dinner, and I saw it in the trash. I took it out of the trash. He doesn't know that because I was the kind of woman, I don't like arguments. And at my church, and somebody like, yeah, a woman's not supposed to argue. So I was still trying to be a good woman, a good Christian woman, a good Christian girlfriend. I was emotional. I was very hurt by it. And ooh, because I was just like, I worked hard on this. And later in life, I actually got a honorable mention in a poetry contest. And it's like, I remember one of the judges wrote me saying how beautiful it was. And they were surprised I wasn't published yet. So, but with my education, with everything I've accomplished, it's sad. It's really sad because even wanting to start my own business with everything that I've gotten from my degrees, men have wanted nothing to do with me. They've wanted nothing to do with me. And part of me is just like, okay, I am literally trying to be the best woman I can be. And one of the men even said, like, these women are trying to become the men they want to marry. Maybe I'm just trying to be the best woman I would want someone to marry. Maybe I would want a groom to, when he, or I would want to find someone to date that sees the value in me and be excited to marry me. Oddly enough, like, if they've met most of the men I dated, but then I realized I was just settling because as long as you walk like that, no one's ever going to want you, love you, or marry you, was told throughout my life. And it was placed in my head to the point where it was like weeds. Even when I tried to forget it, it would just like sprout back up. And so then I ended up dating men who love bombed me, took advantage of me, took my money, and tried to tear me down because Mr. Lockakey, especially, he would keep telling me, "You're too old for that. You're not going to be able to do that. You're black. No one's going to care. You're a woman. Like no man's going to blah, blah, blah." And, but at the same time, it's like at the beginning, like way at the beginning, when I mentioned that I was starting grad school, because yeah, I met him about 3 or 4 months after I like was on a date with that black guy who gave me the ultimatum or whatever. And I didn't want to date this like with Lockakey. I didn't want anything to do with him because like he was love bombing me. So I mean that felt good, but he just didn't seem right. And the fact that we dated because he blackmailed me, gave me an ultimatum, literally with life and death and everything, it's sickening and disgusting. And the fact that I broke up with him and then he blackmailed me to get my money back. And then he found his middle school sweetheart. And so then he gave her his phone. So whenever I would call to try, I just wanted my money. I didn't want him anymore. I never wanted him to begin with. It's like, but then she would just call me the N word and tell me that she would take me to court if I kept calling. And I'm like, I was like, I don't want to see him. Can he just put the money in an envelope, drop it off at the door? You can text or call. I don't care, and let me know it's at the door. I don't want him. And she would just call me the N word. And Mr. No Heart, every time I would even like try to start my business, because he begged me to start a business with him. He begged me to start a business with him. And I did the research. I created documents. I was networking. I found the clients and everything. Spent all of the material from my money, $2,500 worth on my credit cards, because this is right before I was able to start finding other jobs. I've always wanted to own a business though. I've always wanted to own a business, and he knew that, and he knew to wave that in my face. But then 6 months into the business, he quits. He quits, and this is a business that he knows everything about, and it's everything is at his house. I am now still saving up. Like, I'm trying to get my businesses together. Once I gain enough capital to rent a facility and or a place, I'm going to his house with a U-Haul, getting the equipment, starting the business again. Because the way, like, and with the money that we were making from the business, I split half and half because I didn't think in 6 months. And he even told me he was not only going to pay me back, but pay the interest. Not one penny. Not one penny. And so then I started like working like the one job, then it became two jobs, then it was on and off the three jobs. And so I was like, fine. And so I had all of my credit card, like yeah, let's just say long story, trying to find a job, but then you walk differently and you're black and a female. Trying to find a job is tricky and complicated. And you have a unique name and everyone says you spell your name wrong on your resume. Oh, but anyway. So I finally started getting jobs, and this is because I'm shortening my name again. I'm taking degrees off my resume just to get calls. But I'm paying off my credit cards. I am starting to like invest in small investment things, and he's mocking me, laughing at me, putting me down, telling me I'm wasting my time. But at the same time, almost once or well, no, it was once or twice or 1 to 3 times a month. He would ask me for $20 to $40 to get his vehicle out of repo. He would mock me with all my goals and dreams and everything, but he couldn't even save enough money to make sure he always had gas in his car. He would mock me in my education and everything I wanted to do, but he wasn't always able to afford everything for his daughters. The daughters he called mistakes at least 8 times. He would have no problem putting me down. He would have no problem trying to make sure that I knew that I was only a woman, that I was only black, that I wasn't diagnosed yet, but something was wrong with me. And I just know even dating, like my self esteem was already low, really low. But even when we were shopping or going out, like men had no problem opening doors for me. What, like, this is while I'm with him. I remember going to the dollar store and I would be grabbing like odds and ends for either the classroom or to cook or whatever. And there were some guys like, "Oh, let me get you that. Oh, like, hi, pretty lady. Oh, let me pick this up from you." It's like, "Yeah, you're wearing that beautiful dress." It's like, and if something was on the bottom shelf, it's like, "No, I don't want you having to bend over. Just like, how many do you want?" Oh, and this would frustrate him because chivalry was more dead than a corpse with him. So yeah, he wasn't for opening doors or being a gentleman or anything like that. Only if he could try to get some. That's the only time, basically. And yes, like I think if you've listened to previous videos, you already know how he treated me because he always downplayed my accomplishments and the goals that I wanted to pursue. My novel, I finished the novel, he told me. Okay, well, I'll read it only if you publish it. And just with other business ideas and things I was working on, he always downplayed it, always said it was awful or it was bad or it could be better. And, or I'm too old, because he always said I was too old to be a mother too. And it was like, if you don't want me running a business, if you don't want me having kids, and you say your kids are a mistake, and you say almost everything that I want to do, like, what am I other than being your help? That's all he wanted me to be. He wanted me to obey him. And even back to the gentleman who would help me, he would ignore me for like hours after. And it was to the point where I stopped putting makeup on. I stopped caring about how I looked because I was trying to make sure no one paid attention to me in public. I tried my best because I'm like, okay, to be a great girlfriend, I need to make sure he doesn't think I'm trying to get attention from anyone else. And so and I was getting threatened by like students at schools threatening to pour bleach on me because they didn't study for tests and they got a bad grade and I wasn't changing their grade or whatever. So I was wearing the same dresses almost like every week. It was the same dresses. I didn't care because part of me was just like, why am I going to wear one of my really nice outfits just for a student to come and throw bleach on me? Why? And so I was dealing with my now ex boyfriend who was easily jealous or intimidated, I don't know, with a school that, because I wrote these students up or I went to the emotional counselor, with like, yeah, she didn't do her, yeah, there's so many things I want to say about her. But when I talk about her, I'm going to take my Christian hat off because she was, in my opinion, she's an absolutely awful, dreadful human being. So she threw away write ups, and like the principal would just act like I tolerated and let anything go in my classroom. And she, like, sometimes when, yeah, I have a smart mouth, she would like, you have no business saying this stuff to these students. It was like, why don't you need to write them up? You need to reprimand them. I'm like, I did. But the emotional counselor didn't know I made copies of a lot of my write ups, not all of them, but a lot of them. And so I showed the principal the copies, and she's like, I never got these. And I'm like, so now do you see why, yeah, I have attitude, but I have attitude because no one's helping me. No one has my back. And it's like so many people have tried to control what I do. So many people have, like, especially men, but with my education, with my goals, with everything. And even with that job, because most of these students were males. And like there were some males who, why did you get this education? It's like, that's why you're never going to get married. These are coming from male students. It's like my dad tells me that no man's going to marry you because you're too smart. Men don't want smart women. And some of them, and these are middle schoolers, and they would tell me about what their dads say. And it sounds like a lot of the men that I've gone out and met and dated or whatever, they don't want anything to do with a smart woman or a woman who has goals, dreams, and aspirations. And it's sad. I'll have part two. Thank you for listening to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human.